is Tarik Talk. Your host, Tarik Mendes, takes you on a journey with guests from all around the world. Broadcasting around the world. Around the world. This is Tarik Talk.
Today I'm here at booth 9 with Diane. Diane, how are you?
Good, how are you?
Awesome. Thank you so much for being on the podcast. Do you mind starting with your Instagram username, please?
My Instagram is Diane Portwood, DianePortwood.
Perfect. Thank you for that. And can you describe us a little bit about you as an artist?
Yeah, I am. So my background is in aerospace engineering, which is why a lot of my art centers around space and astronauts.
That's so cool.
I also think having that background has really helped me with mixed media. I incorporate a lot of woodworking and a lot of electrical work through my LED lights in my art. So having that kind of type A planning background really helps me plan out my original work as well.
Oh, wow, that's so cool. And can you tell me a little bit about your creative process?
Yeah, so I actually do van life right now. Okay. I travel all over the country in my camper van, and I pull a trailer with all my art and tools.
That's so cool.
So because the art show seasons kind of follow the weather in each places, I'm typically in pretty temperate weather, and so I can paint outside in nature. I spend my weekends in the cities for the art shows, and then typically I go out into the middle of nowhere during the week. So I'm in Brooklyn right now, but I'm about to head up to Maine and go to Acadia National Park, and I'll probably paint a bit out there. So that's kind of what my week looks like. I'm in the big old cities during the week, and then during the weekends, in the middle of nowhere during the week, and that's where I can
you have like the coolest life ever. This is so cool.
Thank you.
And can you tell me a little bit about how do ideas come to you?
A big part of my inspiration process is actually music and lyrics. I'll hear a phrase in a piece of music, and that'll really inspire some imagery that turns into an original piece, and a lot of my titles are actually from songs and song lyrics for that reason.
Oh, nice. And how do you keep track of your ideas? Do you have like a little sketch pad or note, like your notes on your iPhone?
Notes on my iPhone for sure. My notes app is very chaotic for that reason. And then also I do have a sketchbook because I do a lot of woodworking and electrical installation for the LEDs. I have to really plan out the painting inch by inch in order to. I make the LEDs myself.
Oh wow!
And so they need to be planned out so that they fit in the piece.
My gosh.
So there's a lot of
that you
planning.
don't do? This is so cool. Wow.
I can't dance. That's my weakness.
And then, do you have like any studio rituals? Like when you get to before you start painting, do you have to have a coffee, like do yoga, meditate, or you just like get right to work?
So when I was in a normal house in a studio, I did. Van life is so chaotic. There's almost no consistent schedule because I'm in a different place every day. So no, my ritual is no ritual.
Oh my goodness, this is so cool. You remind me like an artistic version of that movie Into the Wild, where the guy does exploring. But this is so cool.
Oh, thank you.
And your work is so diverse. Can you tell me a little bit? Like I see that you do paintings, and I think you put resin coat on top of it. How did you come up with that idea? That's so cool.
So I did a lot of furniture building when I was younger. It's just a hobby. And so I actually learned to work with resin from doing live edge river tables. And so it just seemed like a great thing to add because my pieces are so contemporary. I think the resin adds a nice modern finish. And then it also, especially while I'm on the road, it protects the art. It completely seals it. Especially from humidity and changing weather because I will drive from California to Florida sometimes, so it really helps protect the art, so there's a utility to it as well.
Oh wow, that's so cool. And do you have does your work kind of follow like your travels, do you as you get inspired by going by the states, does it reflect your work a little bit?
So I don't think you'd look at my work and directly say, she's been in the mountains, so she's painting a mountain. But being out in nature really does lend itself to a lot of ideas. Another huge source of inspiration is I do a ton of hiking and backpacking.
Oh, nice.
And being out on the trail alone, only with my own thoughts, really lends to a lot of time to think about my next pieces of work.
Oh, wow. You're so fascinating to talk to. And do you have any projects coming up later this year or next year?
So I've been on the road for 1 year. I'm going to do one more year on the road. My next show will be Art Basel Miami.
Are you going this year?
Yes.
Oh,
I've
see you
shown
then. I'll definitely follow you. Oh, congratulations.
Okay,
yeah. I'll be there.
So before I did van life, I lived in South Florida, so it was very easy to participate.
Oh, nice.
So I'll be doing Red Dot and Scope this year. And so that's my next big show. Basically after this show, I am spending all my time preparing and making pieces for those events.
That's, oh my gosh, you're so cool. You need to like, English is my second language. What do they call like when they make a movie out of your life, a biography?
A documentary.
A documentary, yeah. And then like, since you travel so much and like when I travel and I go back to life, do you have that itch to like keep driving? Like how do you see yourself once you're done with the van life and you go back to like a normal routine? Do you think you're gonna like miss the adventures and everything?
Yeah, I do think it's easy. Like grass is always greener. So right now the idea of being in a house and having a schedule sounds really nice. But I know as soon as I have that, I'll be like, oh, I missed the freedom of the road. But I will be moving to Salt Lake in the summer of this next coming year, and that's going to be a great home base for me. It's right next to the mountains. But even though I have a home base, I will still be spending about half the year on the road.
Oh, nice.
I'll just actually have a studio. The reason I did van life was I was spending most of the year on the road anyway and still paying my South Florida lease. Yeah. So doing the couple years on the road has been amazing, just seeing so much more stuff and also just saving money on not having rents.
Oh, wow.
But I will be able to produce more with a home base. And I think spending half the year at home and half the year on the road will really give me that happy medium.
And how long have you been, have you been doing the van life consecutively, or have you done like breaks?
So I've done consecutively for about a year.
Oh wow!
And then I'm doing one more year, and then I'll finally be a normal house person.
Oh my gosh! You should do like a YouTube channel and vlog. This is so,
I
never
met
an artist that does this. This is so genius.
I will say the van life is wonderful, but it's hard in that so much of your mental capacity is like, oh, where am I going to do my laundry? Where am I going to shower? Is it safe to sleep here? That the first thing that falls to the wayside is social media. So I keep up on my Instagram, and I've been meaning to do a YouTube channel, but those
like
videos
a second
take so
job.
much time.
Of course. And do you have any like projects or like dream projects you want to tackle in the future, like life-size sculptures? I mean, I could do like some paintings here. I see like maybe like those cool Coachella big sculptures. Do you have any like ideas like that? I mean, I would love to do a big installation at Burning Man. I've never been, and I am kind of an introvert, and I think that experience would be a lot for me. So I think the only way I'm going to end up at Burning Man is if I'm making an art piece for a camp there. Oh, that's so cool.
So that would definitely be a goal of mine, and then also to do some of the larger fairs, maybe internationally as well. Oh wow, congrats. Well, it's been a pleasure, Diane. Thank you so much. Do you mind just plugging in your Instagram one more time for the people listening? Yes. My Instagram is Diane Portwood, DianePortwood. Perfect. And it's been a pleasure. Hopefully we see each other at Art Basel at Red Dot and Scope, right?
Thank you for listening to Tarik Talk. Follow Tarik Talk on all social media channels and check out the video interviews online. This is Tarik Talk. Your host, Tarik Mendes, takes you on a journey with guests from all around the world. Broadcasting around the world. Around the world. This is Tarik Talk.
All right, guys. Today I'm here with Annika with Ooh Baby at booth 109. How are you today?
I'm great. I'm so happy.
Thank you so much for being on the podcast. I love the grills, by the way. That's such a cool detail. Would you mind telling us a little bit about your work and your booth here? Yeah, sure. So I'm the designer behind Ooh Baby by Annika. That's me. Basically, what I do is every garment I design starts off with a painting. So nice. Every seasonal collection has basically the painting collection, right? So you'll see it come in through prints and colorways, and my jackets are one of my special linings you can see here. So trench coats are one of my favorite things to design. So you'll see that a lot on the page. That's what I do. And can you tell us a little bit about your creative process? Like, how do ideas come to you? So I normally start off my ideas with a concept, like what am I trying to bring across to people, and then I go on to what is the subject. So like, for example, lately I've been doing photographs that have been my basis for the collection. Nice. So you'll see photos of Bushwick, which is where my studio is in Brooklyn. Oh, nice. Also photos of New York City, and then I print those out and I paint on them depending on the concept.
That's
so
dope.
yeah, a lot of layers.
And how do you have so much work here? How do you keep track of your ideas? Do you like write them down, have like the notes on the iPhone, like a sketchbook? How does that work for you?
I do spreadsheets, actually.
Nice.
I love spreadsheets, especially when I do clothing. I have to keep everything super organized because I have samples coming in, so spreadsheets are the best.
That's so dope.
And I do a lot of Adobe Illustrator, obviously, with the tech packs of designing clothing and things, so that also keeps me organized too.
That's dope.
Yeah.
And like, what's your studio ritual like? When you first come in, do you get to work right away? Do you have a coffee, meditate, like get the vibes, and then get to work? How does that work for you?
Yeah, normally I try to get in as early as I can, unless I've stayed up all night. So that depends. But normally I start off with a coffee. I blast music. I have hula hoops in the studio. I have my roller skates in the studio.
Nice.
So it depends on the day, but I normally like to start it off creatively, like not writing in the emails. You know what I'm saying?
Very
so maybe
smart,
just a little like creative energy going and good music.
I love that. You have such a good vibe.
Thanks.
And do you have any like dream projects that you want to do in the future, where there's like big life-size sculptures or collabs or anything like that?
You know, I honestly, I just want to continue to scale my business. Right now I'm on such a incline, and I'm so excited to continue sharing this. So basically I just want to focus on making the best product that I can, and I know that whatever's meant to be will be, and collaborations, of course, with like larger brands. I think my biggest goal is getting into a couple large stores like across the United States and hopefully internationally. I won't limit that to like a specific company or person, but basically just continued on to living off my designs and art and growing the brand and bringing it to more people. That's what I want.
And then do you have any advice for like young art? Because a lot of listeners always ask me, oh, can you ask your guests like what's an advice for like a young artist that like wants to try but they're scared, they don't know how to start? Like, what would you tell them? Like,
my advice would be figure out where this feeling is coming from. Like, is it a genuine feeling? What avenue do you want to go into? Do you want to go into painting, clothing? Do you want to try it all? And then my kind of deciding factor to like, I had to make money, right? So I dropped out of college and I had to make money. So I found a sales channel, and that happened to be a street market. And that literally changed my life because it was in front of so many people, which I recommend. Going to your local markets. Every city has a market. Go bring your art, bring your clothes, bring your whatever, photographs. Bring them there in front of people, get their feedback, sell it, get it out there in the world, and it starts to like go like momentum, a tumbleweed. So I would just say get it in front of as many people as you can.
That's dope. And going back to your art, I see like you seem to use like a lot of mediums, like I'm guessing like spray paint, acrylic. Can you like describe a little bit like about the materials you use?
Each piece like changes up, and obviously I love clothes so much that I have a lot of fabric samples. So basically I'll use like some patches, which is a signature of Ooh Baby. Spray paint, you're totally right. Graffiti markers. I just started with oil, so I have an oil painting over there, which is awesome.
Oh, cool.
This one's got like a leather belt in it. So I really like using textiles because it ties in the clothing so well. That's so on brand. That's so genius. Well, thank you so much for being on the podcast. Can you just plug in your Instagram one more time? Yeah, my Instagram is Ooh Baby by Annika. OOHBABYBYANIKA. Ooh Baby by Annika. Thank you so much, guys. Check her work. It's so dope. She's at booth 109. And thank you again. It was a pleasure meeting you. Thank you for listening to Tarik Talk. Follow Tarik Talk on all social media channels and check out the video interviews online. This is Tarik Talk. Your host, Tarik Mendes, takes you on a journey with guests from all around the world. Broadcasting around the world. Around the world. This is Tarik Talk. All right, guys. Today I'm here with, please help me out. Let's see if I get it right. Zelka? Yes. Awesome. And I'm at booth 49. Would you mind telling us a little bit about your art? I'm inspired by architecture and geometry because I studied architecture first, and then I studied fine arts. So it was very important to me to
get this knowledge about geometry, and it helps me to even find some to express emotions through it. I know it sounds almost
so
impossible,
cool. Yeah.
but it is, because you can always discover new ways of expressing.
Wow, that explains a lot. Looking at your work, all the everything's so symmetrical, asymmetrical. It's very nice. And can you tell us a little bit about your creative process? Like, how do you come up with ideas for the paintings?
I first make sketches, and then I decide about the size of the work. I'm trying to be spontaneous as well, and I always give interesting titles. Because I think title is a short description for every piece, and it helps the viewer to really connect with the piece. So I always ask myself about what is the real message behind my work, because I have some series like Green Architecture, where I want to send a message about the importance of nature and the importance of connection between architecture and nature in everyday life. And I also have a studio where I have the wonderful view. I'm surrounded by trees, and it gave me some kind of inspiration to make this connection.
Oh wow! And are you an artist that you prefer to paint in the daytime or the nighttime, or it's very spontaneous for you?
I'm spontaneous, but I'm also organized at the same time. I don't know how, but it's also possible, because I'm aware that there are many things that artists need to do, because it's part of the package, you know.
Yeah, of course.
We need to think about the shipping and framing our work, exhibiting, and but I'm in peace with that, you know, and I managed to achieve everything. So
that's so cool. And do you have any studio rituals? Like, when you get to your studio, do you have to have a coffee, read the news, or do you just get to work and start painting right away?
I usually get to work. And I'm focused on the idea. I can also sometimes I create a few pieces at the same time, because sometimes, but some pieces are demanding, so I need to focus only on them.
Wow. And how long does each artwork take for you? Do you once you start it, are you able to finish it, or do you take a few days, relax?
It depends on how I feel, what am I going through, and sometimes I'm in my studio for hours, and sometimes I just have 5 minutes to do something. That's unfortunately the truth, because I already told you it's complicated to achieve everything.
Wow. And how do you keep track of your ideas? Do you have a sketchbook, or do you just do everything before? You just sit down, it's very organic? Do you keep a little sketchbook of your ideas, future projects you want to do?
I always have so many sketches in my sketchbook, and I actually I think ideas are very important, and the most important part, because I already learned how to make something looks good in reality. You know, that's familiar, I know that, but idea is what I think it is the most important. So I have many sketches, and I always can find something to do. For an instance, now I traveled from Europe, and it's hard when you come back, because you need to do something.
Get back to the routine.
But I have my sketchbook, so that's the way
that's very smart. And can you
continue.
tell me about the Central Park painting?
Okay.
When I first saw it, I'm like, this looks so familiar, but I didn't, in my subconscious, I was like, this looks so familiar. And then when I saw the titles, you said titles are important. It's reminds me of those helicopter shots over Central Park. This is so smart. Can you tell us how you came up with this idea?
The idea came when I visited New York for the first time. And I was impressed by Central Park, and it's also part of my Green Architecture series. I know it's urbanism at the same time, but I think it's important to make this connection. And Central Park is a great example how to keep park for years and to stay the same and to make people happy, because we know that builders sometimes like to take to the green areas and build.
I love that.
Yeah.
That's very cool. And how do you like do you have everything drawn out from the painting, or do you just you go as you paint as you go? Like before you start an artwork, do you have everything pre-planned?
Mixed. Yeah, because I care for my first idea and sketch, but if I notice some things could be better in a different way, I will change something about it. And I like to take risks.
Yeah.
And to experiment.
Oh, I love that.
Yeah, and the Central Park, I had a sketch, but it was not detailed. I just I was working on it when I saw the white canvas.
Yeah,
then I started to. But it's in proportion. That's important. It's really the proportion.
It's perfectly symmetrical.
Yeah,
it's so interesting. I love how you even have the street, the Broadway street.
Yeah,
it's so well thought of. I love this.
Thank you.
And do you have any projects coming up later this year or early next year?
I still don't know, to be honest. I'm planning to exhibit in Austria,
in
nice. Europe.
Congrats.
And I'm still working on my green architecture series.
Okay.
Also, when I have some ideas for my frame series, I'm able to go there and to change something. But I'm not obsessed with the constant. I'm not obsessed by doing the only one series.
Yeah, of course.
I think it's. Artists are free to do whatever they are inspired to do.
Love that. And I see your architecture background has inspired your art.
Yeah.
Does your art inspire your architecture? Your sketches and
ideas? That's a great question. Yes, I think it's mutually beneficial. Because I also in my home I apply that knowledge, and I also. Whenever I have a chance to help someone, I would, because I have this visual experience. As an architect, it's hard to discover things about color. Painters are able to experiment with color and to get some to realize how things are changing in terms of some colors are different in different contexts. But an architect is more in planning the space and it's totally different story. So I think it's a great experience to be a painter. And I read somewhere Le Corbusier, architect, he said it's important to do paintings to become an architect.
Oh, I love that.
That was his
That's so cool.
first idea, and I believe it's true. Yeah.
Oh, wow. Well, thank you so much for being on the podcast. It's been a pleasure. I can't wait to check out your work on your Instagram.
Thank you.
And it was a pleasure. Please check her out. She's in booth 49, and she'll be here the whole day, correct?
Yes.
Yeah? All right, guys. Thank you so much. It was a pleasure meeting you once again.
Thank you for listening to Tarik Talk. Follow Tarik Talk on all social media channels, and check out the video interviews online. This is Tarik Talk. Your host, Tarik Mendes, takes you on a journey with guests from all around the world. Broadcasting around the world. Around the world. This is Tarik Talk.
Guys, sitting here with Lauren at booth 86. Lauren, how are you?
I'm good. How are you doing today?
Awesome. Thank you so much for being on the podcast. Can you just tell us your Instagram name to start with?
Yes, my Instagram name is Carmela Design. So it's CARMELA_DESIGNS.
Awesome. Thank you so much for being on the podcast today. And can you tell us a little bit about the artwork you're exhibiting in your booth?
Of course. So my style of work is mostly simple, timeless. I really focus on using a color palette that's a little bit more muted, classic. I'm really more drawn to kind of a simpler life. A lot of my work is still life-based and nature-based. I get a lot of my inspiration from I would say the East Coast. Even though I'm based on the West Coast, I'm personally more drawn to East Coast vibes.
Yeah.
And so my work, I feel like, reflects kind of those characteristics.
You know, the thing that caught my attention about your work, it takes me like to the countryside in Italy. Like, it's so peaceful and inviting and chill. It really like doesn't like overstimulate the viewer. It makes you like relax and pay attention to details. How do you come up with the ideas for your work? Is it like organic? Do you keep like a sketchbook?
I feel like I have a few different processes. I definitely enjoy traveling and I use a film camera these days now.
That's so cool.
It kind of helps you just like slow down and kind of think about the composition more, and that kind of then relates to how I then paint a piece too.
Yeah.
So I have kind of a catalog of film I've taken. I do sketch when I travel at times, and then there's also just kind of like those moments in life that just happen. I'll like get a quick photo on my phone of like maybe I saw a flower at like a Trader Joe's or something like that. And then just a lot of my work I feel like reflects me personally and like what I would want to surround myself with. So I just kind of even use my own home and like, oh, if I had a piece I needed, like what would it look like? Maybe how would someone else relate to that piece?
Oh, that's amazing.
Yeah.
And do you think being from the West Coast, as you previously said, do you think that influences your work?
I do think that, so I don't know how many people in San Diego, but it's not very
Shout out San Diego.
It's not very green. I mean, we have nature, but it's not like on the East Coast where you have all the beautiful trees and it's very lush, and that's a color palette that really attracts me. So I'm always kind of in my mind time traveling to greener places because it's something that I'm missing in my life.
Yeah.
And so it's kind of filling that void a little bit.
Yeah, love that. And I see a lot of nature in your work. Do you get inspired by nature? Do you enjoy being in nature?
Yeah, I feel like I've grown up in just a lot, like my parents always kind of put us in nature a lot as a kid. Not like a camping environment, but like every weekend we went to the zoo. And the San Diego Zoo is known for having a large plant collection. And my dad would educate me on like, oh, this is this type of tree. And he has a garden to this day where I also get a lot of my inspiration from. Like I'll go into his garden and pick fruit, and then I'll make my own like still life composition with his like oranges that he has every December. So it's kind of like it's part of my upbringing almost to kind of surround myself with nature. With what we have. And I always love traveling to places that's a different environment. Like I went to Vermont 2 years ago, and like the best thing ever was Vermont.
I love that.
Yeah.
And when you take the pictures, when you have them printed, do you sometimes just print the picture and like transform into a painting, or do you use like little pieces?
I think it's kind of it's a mix sometimes, because sometimes even if I take the time with film to like think about the composition, it may not translate to the painting the best. So I'll probably like take ideas of it, like maybe it's the way that the tree is shaped, or maybe it's the way the light's going through it, or maybe it's just the color palette and be like, oh, I really liked the color palette of that day, but I want to use it maybe and create like a floral arrangement instead, or just something like that. So it's a little bit of a mix, just depending.
Oh, that's so cool. And do you have like any studio rituals that you do? Like when you get to the studio, do you have to have like a coffee, read the news, or do you get to work right away?
So my studio is my second bedroom, which I also share with my husband as our work from home space.
Oh, nice.
So I really just need for him to not be there. So it's on a day when he's not working, it's just me in the room. It's quiet. I usually like to work just in front of my window, natural light, so like no overhead lighting. And usually I'll have like a tea, an iced tea. I'll be in comfortable clothing, and it's just like having some music on, or like just a show that I've watched before, and just kind of just jumping into something. Just kind of being in my own little space.
Your little vibes, And do you have a preference, like time of day, or are you just like spontaneous?
I would definitely say that I'm a more morning creative. Like maybe like 9 a.m. is when I'm feeling it. It's like I've had breakfast. Not like, you don't have that hunger in your back of your mind. It's still early, so I feel like I'm being productive, and that kind of gets me kind of inspired to work. That being said, I also work out of necessity. I've worked in the evenings when I've had to, just because when you have a show coming up, or if you have a deadline, you work when you have to. But I would say I enjoy like a nice slow Saturday morning in my space, comfortable.
Oh, that's pretty dope. And do you have any projects coming up this year or next year?
So we are getting into the holiday season, so I have some custom ornaments that I'm doing for clients that have pre-ordered them. I have a commission for a multifamily apartment building where they do like a model unit, and so I'm doing a piece that they'll have in the model unit that people will tour when they're gonna like maybe think about renting from that building. And then I might be I'm hoping to maybe do Chicago maybe in March with the other art fair. We'll see. That'd be a cool bucket list thing to go to Chicago. Love Chicago. And then just keep painting, just keep traveling, keep gathering inspiration. Yeah.
And how does inspiration work for you? Is it something that you kind of have to work at every day and like write stuff down and like slow down a little bit to observe things, or is it just like it hits you whenever?
I did recently pick up morning journaling again, and that's actually been a really good way for me to like reset my brain and kind of like dump all of like your daily negative thoughts, well, not negative thoughts, but just like the daily thoughts you have every day, like, oh, I need to do laundry, I need to go grocery shopping, kind of getting that out of my brain space so that I'm a little bit more open to like my surroundings. So I feel like just having that daily practice has helped me shift my mindset, like when I'm going for a walk with my dog, to be less not thinking about that, because I already did it. It's on paper somewhere else. I can now like take the time to enjoy the trees I'm walking past, maybe see some like a neighbor's flower bush that was blooming that maybe I didn't see the day before. So I think that practice has really helped me just, I guess, practice being more aware of my environments.
Oh, I love that. And do you have any idea for do you have any advice for like future artists that want to get into art?
I would say just keep painting.
Just keep painting?
Try new things. Like I say that I'm self-taught. I did go to school for interior design, but I think they're, in the sense that they're both creative is how they relate, but they're very different. I truly kind of had to practice, teach myself new skills, kind of like look at other artists for like inspiration of like maybe how they do a project, and just be open to what may come to you, because I started originally doing landscapes, and one day I was just like, I don't want to be landscape girl, I want to try something else. And so I forced myself to try still life, and that's what I've been doing for the past 2 years, and I've really been enjoying it.
Congrats, that's so cool.
Thank you.
And do you have any dream projects that you want to work, like with whether it's like different mediums, like sculptures or whatever?
I don't necessarily know about different mediums. I think it'd be really fun to collaborate with a company on something, like either like putting my work on like a textile pattern, even like a tile pattern I think would be really cool. Maybe working with a muralist to like kind of collaborate on an idea together, and just kind of keep exploring like different applications of my artwork.
Oh, that's so cool. Congratulations. Well, Laura, it was a pleasure meeting you. Congratulations on an awesome booth. Everybody, please go follow her on Instagram. Can you plug in your Instagram one more time for everybody?
Of course. It's Carmela Designs. It's CARMELA_DESIGNS.
Perfect. Thank you so much, Ambassador Laura.
Thank you for listening to Tarik Talk. Follow Tarik Talk on all social media channels and check out the video interviews online.